Hi, this is Jenny C. I'm back again to give the much belated review of Teen Wolf episode 5, A Novel Approach. I was supposed to post it yesterday, but I lost it after my computer crashed, so I decided to go and give it another try. Let's get straight to it. First thing I really liked was Dylan O'Brien's acting this episode. He really brought his A game this episode. This is really what I've been wanting to see for the last couple episodes, because his screen time and his dialogue's been taken up by other people, and as a fan favorite and as one of my favorite characters, it was really infuriating that a lot of the scenes that's supposed to have been obviously for Stiles was taken over by Malia or Scott or even Kira. I was just like, stop. It really annoyed me, but really we got a lot of Stiles, and I was really happy about that this episode. A bit of Stiles that we did get, though, didn't really make sense, but I'll go into it when I get into my dislikes of this episode, unfortunately. I really loved Stiles and Lydia's relationship. The Stiles and Lydia scenes were, to me, the highlight of other than Dylan O'Brien's acting, was the highlight of this episode. I really love how well they relate to each other and Holland's and Dylan's on-screen chemistry. I really love how Lydia can just, at one look at him, can tell that something's not quite right and call him on his bullshit. She didn't delve into it more, and I wish she had, but you really see that she could just tell that something's not right. I would honestly go further to say that this season Stiles and Lydia have a more close relationship than Stiles and Scott or Stiles and Malia, which I think is making Stydia shippers just really, as much as sort of something that's been photoshopped. I really like the fire effects. I can be easily dazzled by fire, apparently. I really love the fire effects with Kira and with Parrish, and I love that we got a little nod to Parrish, although I wasn't really happy with Parrish not having a whole lot of screen time, but I kind of understand that he had to make way for more established characters. What else did I like? Because I'm actually checking my phone. I have my notes on my phone. The monster. The fan-made monster. Now, Ethel was panning in, and I wasn't really impressed. Mostly because the Teen Wolf Live has been, the screen and the coloring has been so dark, you can't tell a lot of the details at first glance. You have to actually rewatch it from the downloaded version and sort of do some kind of screen work to brighten it up, because you can't really tell what's going on. And so at first I wasn't really impressed because I couldn't really see it clearly, and then I wasn't sort of like, and I did see sort of the model version that they saw when they were revealing who was the winner of the fan contest, and I was like, it's okay. It looks kind of cool, but I'm not impressed. But when they actually sort of, when it was in motion in the episode, when I saw it in the rewatch, I was kind of impressed. I really was. It was really, if it wasn't for me, but me or anyone who's sort of familiar with the horror genre, it would be kind of scary. But since I am sort of familiar with the horror genre, I was like, I'm impressed, but I'm not scared. It wasn't really scary to me, but I was still impressed. What else? Because I'm still checking my notes on my phone. I have a question. What's going on with Parrish and him burning bodies and stealing bodies and putting it on the Nemeton? Are we ever going to get an answer? Is it going to be a good answer? More than anything else, I want to have an answer and have it be good and have it be logical. And I'm praying that it is, but I don't really have a whole lot of hope that it will be. I just want some answers and some logical answers at this point, because I have a whole lot of answers and not a lot well, no, not a whole lot of answers, a whole lot of questions, and I have like little answers, and I'm like, it's kind of frustrating because you would think that at the end of the season all your questions will be answered, and Teen Wolf doesn't really have a good record with giving answers to questions and making it logical. And I'm like, it's just, I'm not going to even talk about it anymore. What else I have issues with? Oh, you know what? Let's go into what I hated about this episode, because there was a lot to talk about what I hated. Let's talk about the 20 minutes that Stiles was in the car, just, freaking out. I mean, was that really necessary? I can understand maybe 5 minutes of him freaking out and then sort of something happening, some kind of action happening on screen. But we had 20 minutes of, him in the car. It was later cut. In my version of the episode that I downloaded, it was cut out. I don't know if it was cut out by the person who originally or downloaded it or bought it on iTunes or whatever. Because yes, I do download them legally. What was your first clue? But it was, gone. And I was like, okay, what's going on with that? People who ordered the episodes on iTunes, can you tell me that 20 minutes is gone on the iTunes version of this episode? I'll be very much grateful. Also, there's a lot of filler in this episode. A lot of stuff was just blatant filler, and I was like, what was going on? And then add on the whole, a whole bunch of commercials. I mean, they stuffing every spare moment with commercials to pay for this, pay for the season, pay for the show, and it's just ridiculous. This episode really felt like a filler episode, because it was a lot of unnecessary scenes. I mean, let's talk about the whole voice thing. Someone calls 911, or no, Stiles calls 911, and instead of we get to see Stiles calling 911 and seeing the call from his end, we get a black screen with like the audio bars or whatever, like the audio in visual form on a black background, and that took up I think 5 minutes, and that was like 5 unnecessary minutes. Why couldn't we just see Stiles dial 911 and that'd been it? It was just a whole unnecessary filler. It was ridiculous. Also, let's see, because I'm gonna check my food, my notes. I constantly have Donovan. Let's talk about Donovan. I don't understand why they built him up so much for the last 6 episodes to just suddenly kill him off. I don't get that. Why did we get so much backstory? Why did we get so much build up and then they just kill him off? Again, it's the same way with Tracy. They build her up. Ooh, excuse me. They build her up and build her up, and then 2 or 3 episodes later, she's gone. And I'm like, it feels like a road to nowhere. Like it was a waste of my time, and it aggravates me. Stop. If they're not going to be here a lot, why are you continuing to give us a hell of a lot of backstory? More backstory than people, I would say, like Mason has. And Mason's been here for like 2 years now, going on 2 years. Yet we get a whole bunch of backstory for a character essentially going to be gone. And a few episodes later. It's stupid. It's really aggravating. And his monologue, his evil Bond-esque villain monologue, it was stupid. He was calling Stiles a bitch. He was calling Sheriff a bitch. And I was like, this is so cliche. Is he twirling his imaginary mustache? Come on now. I mean, honestly, I was like, this is stupid. And also his whole reason that he was talking about how Sheriff Stilinski left his father to die to go call backup. And I'm like, dude, do you know anything about police procedure? I'm not even a cop. I had like maybe 1 year of this training, and I can even tell you a standard procedure to call when you're overwhelmed or you're going into a really dangerous situation is to call for fucking backup. I mean, he was doing the right thing. It was your dad just wrote. I mean, seriously, he should have waited for backup in the car. I'm kind of sad that he got hurt, but for the most part, I'm like, that was just stupid. You got what you got. So I might have had for Donovan was gone after that. Let's see. Going back to the monologue. He says things, it was really over the top and really cliche. He said things like, I'm not going to kill you, Stiles, I'm just going to eat your legs. And I'm like, that was so over the top and so cliche. And I was just like, give me a break. And then the way he died was stupid, because we never get to see him sort of impaled on the steel bar. He just turned and you see him on the steel bar, and that didn't make any sense. I mean, it really didn't make any sense. I am trying to see what else I'm supposed to be talking about. Also, wasn't the unnecessary lying and just the unnecessary lying and shit? I mean, honestly, this episode was with. I mean, we had Stiles hiding from the cops, and he's a sheriff's kid. That was stupid. I mean, it's an obvious case of it being A, an accident, and B, self-defense. You have on record that this guy was dangerous, not only to himself but to others. He's also openly and in front of witnesses threatened the sheriff. It's a foregone conclusion that he was going to go after the sheriff or someone close to him. It makes perfect sense that it was a clear-cut case of self-defense. But you know, he hides like a dumbass. And I'm like, what's going on with you? Why did you hide? Also, talking about lying, let's talk about Scott and Kira. And I'll go a little bit more into that later, but Scott and Kira, they're in either her room or his room. I think it's his room. And she wants him to, because she thinks something is wrong with her, and she asks him to look at her with his alpha eyes. Instead of saying, honey, I see this big fiery of a creature around you, he lies about it. If he didn't lie, you could have actually said, you know what, let's go ask your mom what this is about, and we can go fix it. Or we can go do research and we can go fix it. But he lies about it, and it's stupid, and it's contrived. It's obvious setting up a plot point for something later in the season, but it's stupid and it's illogical. And I mean, really, again, it was just stupid. And it's not just this episode. There is early in the episode when people are lying for no reason at all. It's just stupid. And why I'm at Scott and Kira, something's going on with Scott and Kira, because there's some tension there, and it just really came out of nowhere. And I'm like, usually they're happiest couple to ever be, but all of a sudden Kira's being frustrated that he's oblivious. And I'm like, you've known him for over a year, you know how he is. Why is it suddenly getting on your nerves? And I just like, and I'll talk about the ending later, because I have issues with the ending and what Scott's actions at the end, and I'll talk about that later. Let's talk about, let's see, what are my lists, because I'm looking at my phone. Let's talk about Dr. Desu Machina, or Dr. Valak, I think his name is, and his book. I swear to God, what is with people not putting together clues to make a conclusion? I've never, in this season, it's everybody's got to get, everybody has to be given an answer instead of looking for the answer and coming to a foreground conclusion. It is irritating. These people are supposed to be smart. are smart, but yet they can't put together clues to make a conclusion or to find the answer. I mean, let's talk about Malia and the Deus Ex Machina book called The Dread Doctors. I said this last episode, but I'll say this best. Why couldn't she just like do some real sleuthing? Why did you have to give her that answer when they have it blatantly on a book? And then also, you know, why couldn't Stiles is like the team is the pack detective? Why couldn't he and Lydia and all the other smart kids in the pack come together and find the answers? Yet they go to Dr. Valak, which is an obvious trap. Or not even an obvious trap that you knew that going to Etching House was obviously a bad idea. But to go to Etching House and talk to Dr. Valak, and I'm like, you know this guy is shady. How do you know this guy whatever this guy's saying is actually being truthful, or that he's omitting things? I mean, why would you go see him in the first place? It's obviously a bad idea. But instead of actually going and looking for the answers and piecing the clues together, you go to this guy who you don't even know this information is completely truthful. It's stupid. Let's see. There's also some kind of like, I don't know, supernatural reference on the slide. Lydia does some predictions that or comes to the conclusion early on in the episode that the book is probably predicting what's happening. It doesn't. It turns out that the book has some magic powers that can make it where where the person that reads it can remember the doctors, because the doctors have this sort of weird pseudoscience thing that they can make someone forget and manipulate electromagnetic field. And someone who got some science background, please tear this shit apart, because I know it's bad, but I am nowhere near a scientist enough to actually tear that pseudoscience theory that they did in the episode apart. So scientists, let me know what's going on there. But it was sort of almost like, I think Sticky Keys was like, it's obviously a throwback or a cribbing from Supernatural and the Winchester Gospels, and I'm like, totally, I see it right. I mean, it was so familiar. I'm so tired of Jeff Davis cribbing from other sources and not even making it good. It's just like, I swear to God, that is so annoying. Oh, let's talk about Scott's really ridiculous, really stupid sort of kumbaya, everybody must get along, no killing bullshit. Oh my God, that's been a force of frustration for me for the last couple seasons. That's supposed to be make him special because he's the true alpha, and I'm like, that's one thing when you make it that's your personal decision not to kill. That's one thing, but why can't you have the two obvious most bloodthirsty people in your pack, Kira and Malia, be your enforcers and have them kill for you? I mean, honestly, they're the victims. I'm like, hold on, I'm gonna take a sip because I need a sip for my courage. Hold on, guys. He said they were obviously victims, and it's like, bitch, please. Lucas was not only a danger to himself because he was an experiment. So with the whole experiment thing, it's an obvious conclusion to how Tracy went nuts, batshit insane. That he's a danger to himself. He's a danger to your pack, who you are responsible for to keep safe, and the community that you live in. He couldn't be controlled. The only foregone conclusion was to kill him, and you can't trust Etching House to do what they're supposed to do, because you already know that they're shady. And that they have they're shady and they're not to be trusted. So why wouldn't you kill him? That makes no sense. His sort of reluctance to kill anybody is like, he thinks that, oh, if I don't kill this, I have any bloods in my hands. But that person that you refuse to kill somebody else, that's blood, and you had a chance to, oh wait a minute, and you had a chance to stop this person and you didn't. The blood on the hands is not only on that person who killed that monster that you let go, but it's also on your hands. So that's another reason why I don't buy this true alpha bullshit. He's the most, and I say this again and I say this clearly, so you get, he is the most inept alpha since Jacob Black. Oh my God, I'm not lying. I'm like, this is not My Little Pony. This is not My Little Pony. You're a wolf. And you've got to take care of business. That's just the way it is. But instead of you sort of, you know, having to kill and dealing with those consequences and growing from that experience, you're so reluctant to kill, thinking that you're doing the right thing. But if that supernatural creature that you let go in your territory goes out and kills somebody else, you're responsible for killing someone. It's called accessory to murder. Or accessory to murder. Accessory to murder. Oh my God. Jesus. I'm just, oh, he aggravates me. And I know I'm not the only person that he aggravates with this attitude. It's ridiculous. What else? Oh, let's talk about the logic fails, because there's a lot of logic fails this episode. Oh my God. Oh, logic fails. So, Lydia is a banshee who's thus a supernatural creature, and she can pass over the mountain ash line in Etchin House. How is that possible? Now, Kim 80, who's the greatest pop ficker to ever pop fic. Yes, I am a fangirl. What's your problem with that? So Kim 80 said on Twitter, responded to me on Twitter, and she said, they probably tried to do some consistency with the previous seasons where Lydia was supposedly human or could pass for human and passed over mountain ash lines perfectly fine. And I'm like, no. I think they just forgot, or the person didn't research it, or whatever, or didn't look past didn't look in the previous seasons, because or didn't even think or reason that those were the rules, and that she forgot. So I think her name, the writer of this episode, is Angela something. I don't even know her name. I'm not looking it up. I don't feel like it. But yeah, I think that she just forgot. I think she just forgot. Another logic fail. I'm gonna look at my phone. What's going on with the parents lately? Oh my God, none of the parents are being effective parents this season. What the hell is going on with that? Kira and Scott staying over each other's house. You would think it's actually a character, as part of the personality of Kira's parents to be overprotective when it comes to their daughter. Yet they're allowing their daughter to have sleepovers on a school night, no less, at her boyfriend's house. I'm like, I don't give a damn if you're 18. You live under my house. You live by my rules. Why is there no like conflict towards parents? Why is there little sort of appearance from the parents doing actual parenting? Oh, we get a little of the romance, but we never see them do actual parenting. And I'm like, just because they're 18 doesn't mean your parenting stops. It just aggravates me, because it's a sort of myth that I used to believe as a kid at 18 myself, that just because you're 18 you're an adult and you're automatically adult. And I'm like, no, that's not how that works. Let's see. Oh, the biggest logic fail, I think, to me this episode is Stiles obviously losing his shit over having been culpable in Donovan's murder. And I'm like, that was an accident. It was an obvious accident. 2, you wasn't crying buckets of tears when you were accessory to murder by helping Derek killing Peter, because that Molotov cocktail didn't just make itself. You know, you and Lydia helped do that. I mean, y'all came up with a plan together, and you two executed that. But all of a sudden, you're feeling guilty. I hate to say this, because I love Stiles. Stiles, out of everybody, is the most ruthless out of the bunch. He's always been that way. Always been that way. It's always been Scott who's been the bleeding heart. It's Stiles who's been ruthless, especially when it comes to protecting his father and Scott. And Donovan was obviously a threat to the sheriff, who is one of the most important people in his life. I would think he wouldn't feel guilty about it. Honestly, because he hasn't felt guilty about any other deaths that he's been culpable in. I'm saying, seriously. You know, you don't see any real remorse, or I would say not even remorse, but just really any more trauma from what he's went through season 3B, where he was sort of killing folks off and hurting people. But all of a sudden he's losing his ship over Donovan. That makes no sense. That really doesn't make the sense. And Joss, I'll talk about Joss later. Jeff Davis just came and did an interview. I haven't read the interview, only seen like maybe a snippet of that interview. But the snippet I read was something like, there's going to be major tension between Stiles and Malia, because Stiles is feeling guilty about Donovan's death, and that's going to be a wedge between them. And I'm like, that makes no sense. That makes no sense. Again, he didn't feel guilty when he was helping to murder Peter season 1. Why should he feel guilty now? Also, the PTSD with Malia. And I try not to make fun of or really truly hardly criticize mental disorders, because I have one myself. I have anxiety and I have depression issues, and so I try not to do that because that makes me a hypocrite. But what's with her PTSD? She has her trauma. First of all, she was a feral animal for 8 years, yet she's in a class with Lydia Martin, who is the genius of the pack. That makes no sense. After a stint in summer school, that makes no sense. She should be at least doing some remedial classes. There's no way she would be in a class with Lydia. But this is the second class with Lydia that I've seen her take. That's stupid. Also, her flashbacks while she's driving the car. I'm not saying that she wouldn't have flashbacks while being in a car, but this is like the first time that we see real instances of her having I can't talk today, an attack while being a panic attack while being in flashbacks while in the car. I would think that any instance of her being in the car, in someone's car, or would trigger a panic attack and or flashbacks. But it's only when she's driving when she starts getting, flashbacks. That's stupid. I would say it would have been really consistent and really brought the fact that she has trauma from her childhood and her parent and her mother's death. Would have been like every time she gets in the car, she panics and has flashbacks, and that'd be a continuous thing throughout the last 2 seasons. That hasn't been. Oh, you know what? I forgot to mention, and hold on, I'm gonna give me another sip. I forgot to mention how this whole Stiles going crazy thing is really repeat of season 3B. Also, they seem to repeat this season should be subtitled "We Repeat Everything," because they're repeating storylines from season 2 with the Canada storyline, the whole, Lydia going crazy, which was season 2 again, or Stiles going crazy, which was like season 3B. I keep seeing repeat storylines throughout this last, 5 or 6 episodes, and it's ridiculous. I'm like, did you just run out of, originality at all? I'm just, let's go back to Malia. The Malia and Theo thing. Now, it is so sad that Malia has more chemistry with Theo, of all people, than her one true mate, Stiles. I mean, seriously, it just goes to show you that Malia and Stiles have zero chemistry together, and they're better off with someone else. Because Stiles has amazing chemistry with Leah. Whew, my Twilight reading just got to me again. Whew. With Lydia. Then and they are really great together on screen. I'm a hysteric person to the bottom of my heart, but I wouldn't cared, or I would have tolerated, or even supported Stydia in canon, because they at least have romantic chemistry together. They at least really good together. To me, they remind me a lot of Tony Stark and Pepper Potts. I am a Stony girl, a Steve Rogers, Tony Stark shipper, to my heart, but I support Pepper and Tony being together like nobody's business in canon. I actually, my OT3 is, Pepper Potts, Steve Rogers, and Tony Stark all together. So, I really don't mind them together at all. But I despise Malia because she makes this, and I'm jumping all over the place. I told you I would. But we'll talk about her little comment to Theo. When he mentions that she almost ran over a sophomore, and she's like, the sophomore shouldn't be in there in the first place. And I'm like, bitch, you don't have any remorse for that? You don't have any sort of guilt for that, or over hitting somebody? Why are you still continuously getting into the car when you're trying to, and you almost either crashed your car several times and almost hit somebody? What's going on with you? I don't get it. Everybody wants me to love Malia, but I can't stand that bitch. And I'm not the only one. Oh my god. But okay, let's go back to Malia and Theo. Malia and Theo generally, although it was heavy-handed and so obvious, it was ridiculous. They might as well have staff saying these two people are going to get together. On Malia and Theo, but honestly, they have really great romantic chemistry together, and I support that. And it was actually more genuine than the romance between Stiles and Malia. Again, I say it was heavy-handed. It was so contrived. It was ridiculous. I was like rolling my eyes because it was just like he was holding her hand while he was showing her to drive. And again, why is he letting her drive his car when this chick is a horrible driver and she almost ran over one person? Why would you do that? That was stupid. I don't give a damn if you have an evil plan of evilness. That's your car. I mean, and when normally when you're 16, 17, 18, your car is your life, is your freedom. If you don't have a car, you might as well just shut it up and go. So why would you let this chick ride your car? That's logic fails. I'm trying to see what else let's see. Oh, and finally, let's talk about the most anticlimactic ending I've seen yet in Teen Wolf, because it's ridiculous. The last episode's ending was generally shocking, but this episode, it fell flatter than a pancake. Oh my god. It was like, let's talk about your bro from another mother and your Pac-Man and your friend, who's been your friend for the last 2 years, is stuck in Etching House. And I know that's your girl, and I know you love her and everything, but we never see a point where he is generally torn about having to either choose to go after Stiles or to go after, go and save Kira. I know there's Mountain Ash, but not at once did he ever ask the security guard, is there any way to break the Mountain Ash line? Can you do it? I mean, we never see him really torn. This goes to further show that the so-called closeness that's between Stiles and Scott lately is false as hell, and it's or not even false, it's a farce, okay, as hell. I'm just like, I haven't seen them really close since season 3. I mean, it's all, and I don't see the closest that's supposed to be between Scott and his pack, and between the pack members, because they're all jumped off in little groups, and we don't see them really interacting with each other unless a supernatural shenanigan comes up. And this is supposed to be the big plot point of this season, with the tagline "Watch Your Pack." Is that something's gonna break this really close pack apart? But I'm like, I think he keeps imagining that his pack is written like Koriyashi's in the sum of its part series, or Koriyashi's pack in her. Okay, let's try it again. It's not really written like Stiles' pack in the sum of its parts series by Koriyashi, where they do things together. They're always in each other's face. They're always, at some point they sleep with each other every night in a puppy pile. They're really close, and you can tell. I mean, and with something will break that pack apart would be devastating. I don't feel like that same storyline would be effective in canon, because the pack is not really a cohesive family unit at all. I mean, it's all like bunched up in different groups. It's ridiculous. I'm just like, overall, this episode wasn't as bad. Again, it wasn't as bad as the episode before it, Condition Terminal, but it had a lot of faults. This episode felt more like a filler episode than anything else. As this continued downward spiral for Teen Wolf, I mean, I'm seeing a lot of PR from Teeny Bopper, the Teeny Bopper portion of fandom, who thinks Jeff Davis can't do no wrong, and the PR and the panda and the media machine saying, "Oh, this is the best episode ever," and I'm like, no, it wasn't the best episode ever. It was a good episode so far. I think episode 1, despite having its faults, was one of the best episodes we've seen so far. I'm glad to see Dylan had some screen time. I'm kind of supportive of the Malia Theo thing, although I think mostly because they're both perfect for each other. They're both psychotic bitches. So, also the unnecessary line, and I already went into that. I think that's about it. I think I've talked myself to death. So this is the end of my review of Teen Wolf Season 5, Episode 5, A Novel Approach. I will be back for Episode 6. Y'all pray for me, y'all. Y'all pray for me. I will be continuing to be reviewing The Flash. I did Episode 7 yesterday. I'll probably do Episodes 8 and 9. I'm also going to start today, I think, if I have time, start on Gotham. I mean, the main problem reviewing a lot of the stuff is that there's so many shows to do. I mean, I still have to do Daredevil, and I still have to do Sense 8, and I'm like, so much to watch. I'm only one person, and I got like kids, and I got, you know, real life work to do, and I'm just so much to do, so little time. But I will still be here. I will still be posting video reviews, and then I will go ahead and sum up my feelings of the season at the end of the season. End of the season when I'm done with it. That's it. Thank you guys for taking time out of your day to listen to me ramble on like a nut. I hope to hear from you guys soon. If you have any questions or you want to discuss some stuff, please feel free to do it as usual in the comments. I love you guys. Mwah. Bye.